Welcome back to The Evil Within. This is our You Asked For It achievement run. Therefore, it's a new game on Akumu difficulty. You can see we're right here at the very end of the game, the last half of Chapter 15. We're about to see the contest of wills, Ruvik versus Sebastian. Remember, Sebastian puts his hope in himself and self-reliance. Takes responsibility for the 90%, his reaction to the fear. Notice he did not die the way the other police officers died. Obviously, Ruvik can fire. Fire is what brought Ruvik into being, but it's also something that he can't stand. You can hear the little boy Ruben crying. Now this battle, this specifically, I adapted a strategy from Jigsaw Killer, the world record holder for Akumu speedrunning. I figured if he was doing it, he basically does It Is What It Is and Akumu at the same time. Figured if he could do it without any upgraded weapons, that maybe with upgraded weapons I could be successful. The key there is you have to be in that spot. You have to be right next to those spikes or you will not climb up the wall. And if you spend any time running back and forth from that wall trying to get up, you'll be here too late. Because once this animation starts, you're too late. You need that bolt down there before the animation starts. Now when you throw this match, you want to be kind of looking to your right and turning to your left. It makes the match hit all four of them. I couldn't get his placement of bolts to work for me. I wasn't quite quick enough. But if I place that bolt there on that second ledge, on the front edge of that second ledge, and wait for all four of them to get there, and I capture them in a place. Now my bolts are holding them longer because they're upgraded. So getting here was hard. You have to really run to get there. But because our bolt is upgraded, you don't have to be as precise on your placement of that bolt. You do have to be precise on what you're going to do now, though, and you want to make absolutely certain that Ruvik burns. But see how I was turning as I was dropping the match? I looked at Ruvik, started the match thing, and started turning. That makes the area of effect larger on the matches. I know it seems counterintuitive. It sounds like you would just drop it in a different place, but it seems to make the area of effect of the match bigger. And so you burn them all four again. There's a little break between that third wave, I call that the third wave, and the fourth wave. I want to make sure I have some matches. Most of the stuff I'm not trying. I'll pick it up later. Get this out of the way so I don't accidentally pick it up at the wrong time. Now, where you stand here is critical. You need to be back far enough, and you need to be just to the left of that larger pole. I mean, this is just you have to be here. If you're a little too far forward, or you're a little too far to the left, or you're a little too far to the right, they won't drop down right in front of you. Worst case, they drop down on the ledge in front of you there. And then you can't get the stealth kills. And at least one of them has a gun, so they become a problem. Now this is a dead end. I basically trapped myself, but I've made them all have to come at me from a particular point. So that makes a really nice pinch point. And these big guys you need to hit. They won't necessarily die if you let them defrost. These more typical haunted, they will die just from being frozen. You'll watch them in a minute, they'll explode. But you want to be here, you want to be behind this wall when the sadist comes out with his rocket launcher. As long as you're here, he can't hit you. You can see he's not even coming close. It's hitting way out there in the middle of the field almost. I had always gone to the far right in the back there and hid behind that barricade and would pop up after he shot. But on Akumu, he shoots very quickly. The time between rockets, it doesn't take him very long to reload. I was trying to make extra sure that this person was dead because to drop down here at this point in the battle and die because she flailed around would feel so stupid. And this overhang of these eyeballs is really helpful. It makes it to where he can't seem to get the rocket in there. but you can shoot out from underneath it. A couple of headshots. At that point, it's more about just getting led into him. Missed a couple of rounds there, so I shot 5 times, hitting 3. Now, this is not the dead end. I'm down 1 row, so I can go over to the left here. But look how long my upgraded shock bolt holds him. Got my shotgun shells off. I was out of them, so switch over to the handgun. Just tried to make sure the lead hit him, so it went pure center of mass. Don't want to be wasting the ammo at a head that's flying around. Well, there you have it. So that was my adaptation of Jigsaw Killer's strategy. Only slight differences. I mean, really, the strategy is very workable. The hardest thing is learning to look before you run, especially right at the very beginning. Look where you need to go. Look at those spikes. Go straight to the left of them, and you'll climb up it. If you're off on that and you slide back around, it won't work. I found that putting the second bolt on that second ledge, worked for me. I wasn't quite as fast at any of it as he was. So that third bolt that gets the middle Ruvik, it's hard to be in place for that. But if you just remember with your upgraded shock bolts, you can throw it down in the center there and let it do the work. But you do have to get the match and make, if any of them are going to survive, make sure it's not Ruvik. Make sure it's the others. All right, so the first arena went very well. Don't get me wrong, it went very well in this playthrough. For us, it took us quite a few times to get that to work. This is not really considered one of the rage quit points. The simple fact of the matter is that if you've gotten to this point in Akumu, you will do this and you will do this until it works. I promise you. There's nobody in the world that's going to get this far in Akumu and then quit. So, I mean, there might be a few, but I mean, honestly, you will have invested so much of yourself in the game by the time you get to this point that this is not a rage quit point, just simply because nobody's going to quit at this point. The next arena, I think it's a kind of a common strategy. I probably first heard of it from Jigsaw Killer, but I don't think it's specific to his knowledge. It's realizing that if you don't move forward, the snipers never see you. So you stay out of their range, but they're within your range, and it winds up being almost silly. I remember the first time we got to it after going to this, and I was thinking, what on earth is the next arena going to be? If this was the start of the end, what are the other arenas going to be like? I just couldn't imagine it getting worse than this. And it really doesn't. It really doesn't if you're prepared. The next arena, even the first time we played it, didn't know the trick, didn't really understand what was going on. It still was not a problem. There was plenty of cover, and just as a sniper battle. On Akumu, the sniper battles are much more deadly because, you know, they're throwing grenades and shooting with sniper rounds, and any bit of dust that comes off the ground on a grenade will kill you. So it can be kind of dicey on Akumu. I think I only did it a couple of times on Akumu just to see what it was like. Really, you can see that I didn't want to waste anything. I didn't want to have to go back. If you die here, normally there would be a autosave point and you would come back here. So you can try that several different times. However, for myself trying to record for YouTube, there's no way I could cut in effectively here if I died. And so I was terrified of having to do that one back there again. I thought, well, let me draw them out. And you can see it drew one out. That shot drew one out, but there's all these bars, and I wasn't sure I could get to him. And then I tried a couple more shots, and I couldn't get him to come back out. But those big bluish looking walls are actually on. You see the gears above them? They lift up. And so it's not like their heads are ever going to pop up above that. I was convinced that I needed to stay back here because I misread some information. It turns out that you want to drop down off this ledge but not go forward from the drop. I eventually get up my courage and say, well, I'm going to have to do it, so. But you can see Sebastian has set himself up. His whole goal is to basically catch the criminal, right? He's the detective. He's going to apprehend the criminal. He's going to end Ruvik's reign of terror in this STEM world. He doesn't understand that Ruvik doesn't really want to be in here any more than he wants to be in here. He wants to leave. But now you can see by staying back here, they're just standing around. We've added some power to our sniper rifle, so even a shot like that in the body was able to kill it. We gave it a 20% chance of popping heads when it hits it. That's a 20% improvement, not 20% chance. So it was already had a high probability of popping the head of normal haunted if you hit him in the head with it anyway. So it added 20%, and that was that. So the second arena's over. As long as you don't step up past that first initial drop down, they'll never even see you. Now, those shots at the heads where only the top of the head is visible, with the way the game does the sway on the rifle, those are not particularly easy. We managed to pull it off, but don't feel bad if it takes you a couple of shots. It's sort of random. I mean, obviously, if you pull the trigger at the right time, their heads will pop. But that walk, you can find yourself just sitting there for moments, minutes, waiting for the reticle to bob in the right direction. Now, really, I'm picking up ammo here. I wasn't 100% certain how the next arena, the arena with the two box heads, safe heads. Some people call them keepers. Some people call them box heads, safe heads, or the executioner. That there's a DLC called the Executioner, and you play as one of them. So I don't know if you want to call them executioners or what, but there's two of them, and it's an interesting arena. I have fully upgraded my Magnum, 200% damage. I know what my plan is. My plan is not what Jigsaw Killer did, because he didn't have an upgraded Magnum. Jigsaw Killer laid down a whole bunch of explosive bolts, and them walking through the explosive bolts killed them. My plan is to lay down a shock bolt just to make sure that they can't get to me, and to just pound on them with my upgraded Magnum. I was a little hesitant because I wasn't certain how strong they would be. I thought it might be possible that they're going to be so strong that my Magnum being upgraded is not going to be... it'll be enough to kill them. I'm sure it'll be enough to kill them, but whether or not I could kill them as directly as I was hoping to, I wasn't 100% certain of that. So I was trying to clear the area to make sure that I can run around if I need to. See me getting the Magnum ready and in a quick access part. I tend to override the rifle for that. Rifle in close quarters just doesn't work for me. I can't manage it to pop it up and be looking through the scope. If you can make yourself quick shot with it, it's still effective in close combat, but this is me trying to decide one bolt or two bolts, and I decided, well, my bolts have a pretty wide radius, we'll put it in the middle. That way if I have to use more than one, so be it. One key here is make sure that they are fully animated in. Wait until those spikes go up and they start to move before you shoot. That was me finding out that it takes 3 shots and for some reason jerking and missing the guy with 1 shot. So I had to reload and only have 6 rounds. But I mean there was no problem there. No risk there. So the only real risk was that very first arena, really. And if you follow that plan, you know, watch it over and over again. I had to watch it over and over again. Get it to where you can do each step. Get it to where I wasn't sure if there was going to be a bomb here, so I dug down to make sure. No trap wires, no bombs. Okay. But you're just going to have to like watch and try each sequence. You might have to make minor adjustments. I had to make minor adjustments on bolt placements, things like that. Just simply because my skill level wasn't the same. So my ability to be in the right place at the right time was a little bit weaker. But I think I artfully made the adjustments to my own skill levels. And since they're my skill levels instead of the world-class skill levels of Jigsaw Killer, you're probably able to follow my pattern. It's like I said, it's not that for that first arena. It's not that different from Jigsaw Killers. I think bolt placement was the biggest difference, and then going back in that one area where you're kind of trapping yourself, but at the same time, I'm trapping myself with 4 freeze bolts and still an electric bolt or 2. So I felt confident that I was okay back there. Now we get to face the actual eye of Ruvik.
Ruvik, I created this world. You cannot keep me here.
Ruvik doesn't understand that Sebastian doesn't really even understand. Sebastian's not trying to keep him there. He's trying to beat him. He's trying to best him. He thinks he needs to break him. And maybe that would wind up Ruvik still being in here. But Sebastian's still not understanding that Ruvik needs Leslie and how he needs Leslie to get out. And what the real danger is that Ruvik will get out. There are extra bombs and traps in here, and if you can see them from here and shoot them, you're better off. I was looking for another one. I know there's at least one more in there, but through the lights and the haze, I couldn't quite find it. So I decided, well, maybe I'll get a little closer up there. Notice on the ground the bear traps. One bear trap is kind of obvious. There's another bear trap to your right there that I didn't see until that came up, and I was like, whoa. That was close. You can see the tripwire there across the way. You can probably sneak underneath it, like run over there and sneak down, duck down and go underneath it. But I wasn't sure there would be time. So I'm trying to figure out how to shoot it. I thought, well, maybe I can shoot that. I can certainly see that side, but I think I have to shoot the side with the actual explosive on it. But I think I give this a try. It doesn't work though. Yeah, that's not gonna work. My worry was that if I tried to run over there and then duck down, that it would take me too long to get under. Looking at it now, it looks like there's a whole day. I could have just probably gone by it. I didn't want to be over there and be fiddling around and not get through because I was taking too long. These early lights are okay. If you get caught by them, all it does is reset you to the beginning. It doesn't kill you. But I was wanting to do it without getting seen. Trying to see where the traps are. You can see another bear trap on the ground over there to the right. Another wire there. Oh. And then he stands up afterwards too. Oh, that was reckless. Obviously that's not really in my way, but might as well get rid of it. Caught the next bomb on the camera there. Can't shoot that one, you're too close to it. So I decided, well, I'm going to go across here then. Go. Or not. You can tell I was being very careful. And when I start to go down here, I'm going to look and I'm going to see. See the tripwire there? And I was not convinced I would have time to duck down under it. I was also not convinced that I could shoot it from here, that the blast radius would probably kill me. So I decided to go back out here and shoot that tripwire. But now the problem is, like, where do I stand? And I stepped into the light. You can see those early lights, they just take you back here and you get to do them over again. But the bombs are not reset. You're just pushed back. So winds up not being particularly hard now that all the traps are gone anyway. Trying to decide where I can stand to get a shot at that tripwire. I missed. Somehow the tension of this was really getting to me. You would think after all the hard battles that the light swirling around wouldn't be that big of a deal, but finally, got it. Now, I've seen some people say that the eye, you can shoot the eye. But look what they did to my eye. I tried to shoot it because if you can shoot it, then the light goes away for a period of time. Because the light's coming out of the eye. But look, they put a table there, so like I can't hit it. I try to look at it again. So it's kind of weird if they just stuck a random table up there. The bear traps disarmed so quickly that there was time for that. I'm trying to look and see if there are any other wires, traps, or I'm worried that I'll get over there and there'll be an explosive trap that I'll need to duck down for or something. But nope, you're okay here. So that's good. This is the way I always go. I always go to the left. The other way, you have to go through some more kind of precision footing with tripwires that come at all sorts of angles, and you have to crawl under some of them and walk around other ones. I find this just easier for me. I've seen people go the other way. Now here, if you start getting caught by the lights, once you get past those switches, if you get caught by the lights, now see that room with the tripwires? If you had done the other switch, you'd have to go through that instead of going through this. This to me is easy. I've seen other people go the other way because they don't like these, but all I have to do is disarm this one trap. Wait for that light to go by and disarm that one trap from cover here. And you can literally stay crouched even and make it. And then you're done. I mean, that was just disarm that one trap and go. Otherwise you wind up having to go through 2 of those tripwire rooms. This is just easier. I would always go left. This last segment, the timing's a lot quicker, and the extent of the pools is farther. So you have to go farther to your left on the screen, but his right, and really, I kind of messed up there at the end. You need to kind of cut up the middle. There's pools on both sides, but as long as you don't hit any of them too deeply, you're fine. Now we're back to the courtyard of Beacon Hospital. But you can see it's beginning to collapse as well. We're almost done at this point. There's one last place you can save. You cannot use the chair. The last time, just before this video started, in the room that you were in, just before where this video started, was the last time you can upgrade yourself. But in the same room, this is the same room where we saved and used the upgrade chair the last time. There's no chair there this time. There's only the save point. And the longest elevator ride in the game. A game full of long elevator rides. So now we've been theorizing that the way you get out of STEM is you get back to your body and will yourself back into your own body. It's never really made 100% clear how exactly you get out of STEM.
I'm never riding in an elevator again.
Trust me, it's still better than stairs. We've taken so many elevators up at this point, we should be in the sky somewhere. Look how far down how high up the tower seems to be. So here we are at the very top of the stem. Notice that we don't really see a brain up there. This is probably the wireless mechanism of the system that Jimenez turned on.
Dr. Jimenez? Leslie. Joseph. Kidman. Connolly.
The whole theory is that when the wireless stem
It can't be.
was turned on and you were pulled into it and you were in the police car. Of course, Kidman at the time wasn't in the police car. I mean, she didn't react to the signal. But she must have still been pulled in. The theory is that you were all pulled in and you became unconscious. And that Mobius then put you in the pods. And here's where Ruvik's gamble really pays off.
Listen to me. Stop. Your interests are the same as ours.
Look, I get it. You're not just some rookie detective, and this is not just some ordinary kid. You killed Joseph and you shot me. So right at this moment, that's enough reason for me not to trust you.
You're a good man. That's why Doesn't matter anymore. If you know who this kid is, if you know anything, you know why he can't be allowed to live.
Bullshit. It's Ruvik. He's the one that...
This is the final key. This is Leslie's fear and externally placed hope leads to consent. The only person that can end the pain now is Ruvik.
Leslie!
That was Leslie locking himself in the basement of his own mind and giving Ruvik the key. So really to have gotten out, they need to be down one layer. In the DLC, The Consequence, you see Kidman follows Leslie into the stem. She came running up those stairs after him. But she sees him going and she says, don't go up there, don't go up there. And Leslie, of course, goes up there anyway because that's where they wind up. But the idea was that if she could have been in control of him at the moment, she could have taken him to his body and they could have gotten out. That there were Mobius agents back at the control terminals at Beacon where they put them all in the pods that could have pulled them out. But because she had come to the conclusion that she needed to kill Leslie to keep Ruvik from escaping, Leslie, of course, was running from her. When he gets up there to his protector, the only one that's actually strong enough to face Ruvik directly head to head, which he's about to do. Sebastian doesn't understand what's going on. And so that whole gambit that happened way back in chapter 6 where he put a border checkpoint between us and Kidman, and then in chapter 7 he throws us down and he leads us down to say, focus on me, you need to beat me. And so here Sebastian is still trying to beat him, still trying to catch the criminal, still trying to crack the case. And now we're going to find out whether or not he was strong enough to actually face Ruvik. Starts off with a run. This is not a particularly hard run. You just need to make sure that you push it. The game has this inertia that it wants to pull you to the center of the screen, so you kind of have to fight that to get all the way to the edges. But as long as you stay on the far edges, you're fine. That's not particularly hard. This is not particularly hard either. If you've run the game a couple of times on survival, none of this sequencing changes. You go to the same directions and it takes about the same amount of time. The windows are a little tighter. In other words, if you can't spend any time, for instance, banged up against that file cabinet, you have to get around it cleanly. So again, just remember to look and run. Same thing I was taught about driving. Look where you want to go. Otherwise, you'll go where you're looking. Now, I found this hard. This took me a lot of tries. The best advice I can give you is know where it's going to move. You're going to come off of the circle, but keep your hand on the trigger and keep shooting at where it's going to be moving to. That third one you usually get okay. It's this first one that takes the most hits, and like I'm probably gonna get, if I get through this, I'm gonna be very lucky, because it was only because those last right at the end I had it dead on. But many times I've had that just go. Try to make sure that if you're missing, that you're missing on the side where it's going to be moving to. I found that insanely hard. Just insanely hard. I'm playing with a game controller and not a mouse. A mouse might have made it much better, but I found it insanely hard. It took me, I don't know how many tries to get through that. With the rocket launcher, the thing you want to do is not just shoot, but try to make sure you hit him. It's better if you can hit him in the head, but if you aim for the head's again moving the most. So try to aim between his head and that big, fat, bulbous appendage he has. found that I needed to have several shots hit him to get the animation to progress forward. It's a lot quicker and it's a lot tighter than it is on survival. Shooting over his head and hitting his back does a whole lot less damage. And when those red reticles appear, you really need to make sure you hit them. And like that didn't do hardly any damage. And I guess that one went through. I don't know. You wouldn't think you could miss now. And if you do not hit this, he will kill you. Now, I've seen players be much more precise, hit the head much more often, and it goes a lot smoother. But got through it. This happens much faster on Akumu than it does on survival, and it's much more precise. You really have to make sure you can't just wait for him to move into your reticle. You have to move the reticle to him as well. And it always looks like you lost even when you won. But I found that last battle from the time you get thrown onto the Humvee to the end of that, there was surprisingly a lot of places to die. You can see we're not completely out of it because the organicness of what's behind you in the pod there would not be there in the real system. Right? I mean, there wouldn't be these big, huge organic growth things that the pods are connected to. So you're still inside STEM at this point. But now he's seen his body down there. He's used his force of will to defeat Ruvik. And this is his mind saying, okay, you've got to get out of that tub.
You cannot keep me here. Ruvik.
And honestly, I think this is Ruvik baiting him.
I'm going to finish this.
I think even though he's downloaded himself into Leslie, he can't fully escape the hardware of his soul here until the hardware is destroyed. Then that breaks the last tether. By breaking the last tether, he's fully in Leslie then. So Ruvik couldn't pull the thing out of the back of his head the way we just saw Sebastian do it for himself. He needed Sebastian to do it for him.
Sign, sir.
Now minus the red, there's no red coverage here, but that's the same scene that we started the chapter with.
They're not going anywhere. No one can.
And you can see that was probably in the real world because there weren't a whole bunch of organic growth around everything. Now notice we don't have anything connected to the back of our brain. Conley's clearly dead. Jimenez is even more clearly dead. They don't show you Joseph and they don't show you Leslie. In the DLC, you see them pull Leslie out of his pod. And they show you that this was Leslie's pod. Back to the hallway where we started this episode. Except for notice there aren't doors on the side. In the hallway we were in, there were doors on the side. The hospital still looks the same as when we started the game, when we first got here.
Go! Detective, are you all right? Is there anyone else?
Just give me some real fresh air.
In the DLC, you find out that it's been about 37 minutes. So there's definitely some time dilation going on there. Something's warping the time. But if that entire story was 37 minutes for us, think about how long Ruvik was in there. And you see Leslie walking off. Now my conjecture is that Ruvik's in Leslie and that Sebastian was the one that pulled the last bit of tether. Now he's still hearing the stem system. The stem system's apparently still on. So it makes it questionable, are you actually even in the real world or not? Are you still in stem? But things at least look more stable out here. And the people walking around aren't turning into haunted, so... Well, that was our game. That was the one of the hardest challenges I've ever faced. There were multiple rage quit points for me that we got through. The hardest for me was the graveyard, the sentinel, the large mutated guard dog from the church. That was the closest I came to rage quitting, was there. And you'll see when this pops up that we will have had 7 deaths. I can tell you from cutting it, there were at least 5, if not all 7 of them, right there in that with that dog, where I was so frustrated I wasn't even reloading. I was just redoing. And if you don't if you reload, you can die as many times as you want. Just reload the autosave point, and those deaths don't count. If you just continue without reloading, then they count. So I'm still proud of my 7 deaths. I don't know. From watching it, if you watched through it, you never saw a death on screen. So a lot of effort went into making that seamless, where we would have to rerun sections after sections after sections because I couldn't find a cut-in frame. You see our 2 achievements there. You heard the sound. For whatever reason, this has to run in a window, and it didn't record the actual pop-ups, so I had to add those pop-ups for you. But those were the 2 pop-ups that we got when the game ended. Now, next episode, we're going to take you through Chapter 5 with those brass knuckles there. We'll see you there. Hope you enjoyed this. It was a lot of fun presenting it. Thanks for watching. Take care.